Another way to refer to the genitals is flesh. Flesh. According to religious belief, seminal and abnormal discharge from a man's flesh and menstrual or other discharge from a woman's flesh makes them unclean and unable to take part in religious ceremonies. The male organ is sometimes referred to as hand, with two different Hebrew words having a literal meaning of the forearm, that is, from the tips of the fingers to the elbow. That would be the Hebrew word yad. Yad. So that is the tip of the fingers to the elbow. Or simply referring to the hand, which is from the fingertips to the wrist. That will be the Hebrew word kap, K-A-P. So let me repeat that again. The male organ is sometimes referred to as a hand, with two different Hebrew words, yad and then kap. Yad is from the tips of the fingers to the elbow, and kap is from the fingertips to the wrist. Okay, the term which is equivalent to the forearm, which is the tips of the fingers, to the elbow, which is yad in Hebrew, is said to bear a similarity to the erect phallus, which is the penis, acting as a euphemism for it. A good example of the term's usage can be found in the Ugaritic myth, which tells of the conception and birth of dawn and dusk. Specifically, it is said that when the high god El sees two women or goddesses, his hand grows to be as long as the sea or ocean. This is talking about his genitals. El's hand grows as long as the sea. El's hand as long as the ocean. Quoting from the Ugaritic myth. A similar euphemism for this term may be seen in one of the rules of the community from the Dead Sea Scrolls. It states, in rule of community, whoever takes their hand away from under their garments and exposes themselves will be subject to a 30-day punishment. Hand there is the person's genitals. This concept is also present in the book of Isaiah, where it is written that the Lord condemns Israel for its worship of other gods, described as sexual behavior. I'm going to read the ESV and then I'm going to read the strict Hebrew, so we see how interpreters usually play around this euphemism. Behind the door and the doorpost, you have set up your memorial. Put that word memorial in your spirit. You have set up your memorial. For deserting me, you have uncovered your bed. You have gone up to it. You have made it wide, and you have made a covenant for yourself with them. You have loved their bed. You have looked on nakedness. This is how the ESV renders it. The ESV puts a footnote and explains that the Hebrew word that is translated as nakedness is actually hand. You have looked on hand. You have looked upon their hand. Hand being a euphemism for the genitals. Let's read it more direct, staying true to the Hebrew. It reads, behind the door and door frame, you placed your dildo. You uncovered yourself and went up and spread out your bed. You made a covenant with them. You laved their bed. You gazed on their hand. The hand there is a euphemism for the genitals. Now the word dildo. The word dildo might seem off-putting. However, it is a legitimate word. In addition, this specific Hebrew word could either mean maleness or memorial. That is why the ESV chose memorial. In the King James, it uses the term remembrance. Member, like the genitals, member. So, by the KJV using remembrance to express the genitals, you see the ambiguity of the verse. Euphemistic language is employed by a variety of cultures in order to express taboo subjects such as sex, bodily functions, and death without sounding too direct. This reluctance can also be seen in the history of the Bible, where imprecise terms are used instead of clinical or anatomical words to describe sexual acts and body parts. In the late history of the Bible, translators and scribes have demonstrated a reluctance to express sex-related matters in an explicit manner. For instance, when describing Rahab's house, an ancient scribe attempted to make readers less likely to think that the spies had gone there, Rahab's house, Jericho, for sexual purposes. The text says, the men who went into you. But the scribe attempts to make readers less likely to think that that was what the spies went to Rahab's house for. So he added an explanatory clause which states, the men who went into you to your house. He added that to it because of his reluctance to express sex-related matters in an explicit manner. Similarly, Ezekiel's description of Egyptians as being great of flesh and lustful left out details such as flesh like the flesh of donkeys and emission like the emission of stallions, which were included in later versions. When you read Ezekiel 16:26, that is what is said. But you see that this description of the Egyptians as being great of flesh, lustful, having flesh like the flesh of donkeys, and emission like the emissions of stallions, were removed, but they were included in later versions. It says, you played the whore with your neighbors, the lustful, literally, big of phallus. You multiplied your harlotries to anger me. And then in Ezekiel 23:20, it says, she lasted for concubinage with them, whose members were like those of donkeys, and whose organs were like those of stallions. The Bible is a unique collection of writings, telling different stories and expressing various themes. Its many voices offer an interesting blend of both harmony and disharmony, creating a captivating polyphonic sound. In the biblical world, sex is admired in both its natural and recreational forms. I repeat that. In the biblical world, sex is admired in both its natural and recreational forms. The Bible paints a vivid picture of a landscape where sex was not only for procreation, but also for pleasure, and it was viewed positively. I repeat that again. The Bible paints a vivid picture of a landscape where sex was not only for procreation, but also for pleasure, and it was not viewed negatively. It was viewed positively.